One of the most frequent conversations that I have with speakers at the moment is how the majority of their business comes from referrals or word of mouth. The issue with having a business based on referrals is that it's not guaranteed. You can't tell where your next lead's going to come from, and it's really difficult if you're trying to scale to actually dial up word of mouth and referrals. I talk to my speakers a lot about the 3 ways that you should be focusing on generating leads. Word of mouth and referrals is one of them. During this video, I'm going to break down exactly what the 3 areas are that you should be focusing on to generate leads. If you have all 3 in place, then they work cohesively and you'll be able to build a business that you know where your next leads are going to come from. You know exactly what work you need to put in at the front end to generate more business in the back end and be able to scale your business. Okay, so your leads are going to be split into 3 columns. And on the left-hand side, you've got 0, control, look based. This is where your referrals sit, word of mouth, and you can also put speaker agencies in here. In the middle column is where you're going to have some control, and this is visibility based. So it's all based on how visible you are to your audience. And this comes down to your social content, YouTube, if you have one. It comes down to any podcast appearances that you might have, if you've got your own podcast or if you're a guest on a podcast. Speaker events, so this is when you're on stage and you're visible, and any other PR and media. Okay? And then the final column, this is where I would say you have absolute full control over the leads that come in. And this is proactive. So this is you going and asking for the business. This is you connecting with people on social media. This is going to networking events. This is emailing people, but this is where you have full control. You put the work in, you get the results on the back end. So in here, I'm going to put LinkedIn outreach. You go and find the right people. Direct messages, partnerships and collaborations you could put in here. And then we can put paid ads in here as well. Let's break it down, okay? So you've got referrals, word of mouth, speaker agency. So these are highly reliant on people remembering you and your name being mentioned when somebody asks for a speaker recommendation. So you have 0 control over these, absolutely 0 control. Once you've stood on stage and you've spoken, there's nothing else that you can do. Referrals, word of mouth is completely based on somebody remembering you, remembering what you talked about, the value that you added, and the benefits that you provided. And it relies on them recommending you to a friend and that person then getting in touch with you. So there's so many points of friction involved in this step that this is very, very, very low, reactive. This should be seen as a bonus. If you get a referral, it should be seen as a bonus, and that's it. You should not base your full business on word of mouth and referrals. There's a lot of speakers that I meet with who only get referrals. they have a full business based on referrals. I had a conversation with a speaker last week who said that they think that they've never had, in 6 years of speaking, they've never had a lead that hasn't come from somebody recommending them. If you ask me, that's a very lucky position to be in. This is the one column that you cannot control, you cannot scale up. If you are currently earning £50,000 a year or $50,000 and you have a target to get to 75 or 100,000 and you're only relying on referrals, there's absolutely no way that you can plan ahead and generate more leads just by referrals. Speaker agencies, I've put that in here as well because these should be seen as a bonus. You can sign up to a speaker agency and you can be on their books, but ultimately, again, it comes down to somebody recommending you. The speaker agencies, in my view and my experience, are going to put the speaker forward that is most likely going to secure the booking, the easiest speaker, the one that's most popular, the one that stands out, which leads me on to point 2. So the middle column is your visibility. If you only have referrals and you're not visible, then that's going to play against you completely. So what I mean here is you need to be showing up on social media, you need to be showing up on YouTube, on podcasts as much as you want. We'll put your website in here as well. The quality of the content that you put out and the quality of the value that you provide is directly proportional to the type of work that you will get. Now, what do I mean by that? If you're putting out value-based content, if you're speaking to your ideal clients' problems and pain points, and you're telling them how you can solve them or how you've solved them for other customers, you're going to get more business as a result of that because people will see you and they will hear you and they will know that you know what you're talking about. Without any of this content and without being visible, people don't know who you are. They won't ever see you. If you get a referral and they go to your social media or they go to your website to validate that you are who you say you are and you do what you do, if you don't have the content there, then you're going to lose the booking. So the second column is critical for you to be able to stand out. You want to create content that positions you as the authority in your space. You want to create content that talks to your customers' problems, and you want to be giving value. You don't want your customer to leave your content and have more questions. You want to answer all of their questions. So you need to be posting content consistently. You need to understand, where does your client spend most of their time? Is it on LinkedIn? Is it on Instagram? Are they scrolling the website? Do they read newsletters? Do they watch YouTube videos? Understand where they spend time and start posting content to that area. And then the third area, which you have full control over, this is the proactive process. This is you asking for the business. So this is you messaging people on LinkedIn, sending people emails, calling people if you need to. I'm talking about event managers, events agencies, people that run the events, people that book speakers. If you speak about leadership and development and a high performance culture, then you can go and speak to a comms and marketing team within one of the Fortune 500 companies, and you can ask them what their strategy is around high performance culture and leadership development, and if they have a leadership conference where they need a keynote speaker to come and talk to them about that. Then you need to be able to, whatever conversation you're having, you need to then be able to refer people to your content. So without the second pillar, the third pillar will not work. So you need to have both of these running concurrently in order for the process to work. You need to be connecting with your ideal client or the person that's going to book you on social media, on LinkedIn. You need to be sending them messages, asking them about how they manage their business, how do they book their speakers, what are their strategies and goals, what are they looking to achieve. And if they answer the questions in the right way, and you get the information that you need, then you know that they're your ideal client. And then you can say, hey, I had a client that I worked with who has ABC problem that you've just mentioned to me. I did X, Y, and Z, and this is the outcome that we achieved. Let me show you my YouTube video, or let me show you my recent LinkedIn video that talks about that. Here's some testimonials. So this is you going and asking for the business, and it can also include, like I say, paid ads. So you can run ads on the video content that you put out. But in my opinion, if you're not doing all of these three things, then you do not have a scalable business. You cannot guarantee where your next lead is going to come from. If you are completely relying on referrals and word of mouth, there's no way of scaling that. If you only post content, but you're not asking people for the business, then you're going to attract new people. But unless these people are ready to make a decision when they watch your content, they're not going to convert. You need to be doing the third column, asking people for the business, going out there and putting the steps in. I call them my daily reps. Sending messages to a certain amount of people each day and asking for the business. Once you've got all three of these in place, that is when you have a business that you can scale. That is when you can look at your pipeline and say confidently, I've got 50 active conversations with my ideal client here. 2 of them are at a point where they might convert into a sales call, and however many of them are not far away from that. But if you're not managing that process, then there's no way that you're going to know if you can scale. So there you have it. 3 ways to generate leads. One of them should just be seen as a bonus. Referrals and word of mouth is a bonus only. You should not build your business based on that. You need to be putting content out there consistently that talks to your clients' pain points. That will attract new audience members and get into your ecosystem. So new people will start to consume your content. They'll know who you are. That will boost your authority and make people see you as a thought leader within your space. And finally, you need to be taking control. You have to be doing some form of outreach. You need to be asking people for the business. If you're not asking people for the business, then the business isn't going to come. You're purely relying on luck for people to come and ask you for the business. So you need to be doing all 3. Once you've got all 3 in place, you will start to have more comfort. You will start to know where your next lead is going to come from, and you'll escape this referral trap or peaks and troughs of work coming in. You will have so much more control. You'll be able to plan your business a lot better, and you'll just have a lot more comfort knowing that you've got a business that has structure and that you can scale.